to Ado-Ekiti as well. What are your impressions so far? And is there room for optimism, or is it dire?
Well, I'll start with positive. There's always room for optimism, because one of the things we're beginning to see is that there's some improvement in the electoral process. And for us as Yaga Africa, our work is to keep promoting that level of confidence, but holding the respective institutions to be a bit accountable in the work that they do. Now, for you talked about Ekiti. Ekiti was a marked improvement if you compare that to Anambra last year, where we had in Ekiti we had early commencement of polls, and in fact the results were declared in the middle of the night before dawn of the winners were declared. However, for Osun, we expect that it would not be such an easy elections compared to Ekiti, because Ekiti was a smaller state, or is a smaller state, unlike Osun. Osun has 30 LGAs. It has more registered voters, and if you think around PVCs collected so far, about 1.4 million PVCs collected, which is over 76% of the registered voters. So it is going to also be a contentious elections. If you think about the players, you talked about the candidates, so a lot of these dynamics would be playing out. And what we have seen already is the fact that compared to Ekiti, we didn't have as early commencement across board, and we had reasonable percentages of polling units opening by 8:30. I think about 40% of, based on our data, opened by 8:30, but by 9:30 we had more opening, and one of the things we were hoping to see was to have a larger percentages of opening of polls, because once polls commence early, it means that the process would go a bit more faster and close earlier, and collation can commence when there is still daylight, because it's always good to collate when there is daylight. But we're still observing to see what happens, because for us is to have a broader sense across the LGAs on what is happening. But what are the things we're looking out for these elections beyond the proper logistics for administration is also the functionality of the bimodal voter accreditation system, the BVAS, because that is an important feature in our elections. And with the new Electoral Act, the BVAS is so fundamental that if it's not deployed, elections will be moved to the following day for those polling units, or may not even be conducted again if the registered voters in that polling unit are not, if the numbers are not sufficient to change the outcome of the elections. So you see that the BVAS is very important. In Ekiti, it functioned properly in 96% of polling units. The BVAS functioned properly in Ekiti. In 6% where it malfunctioned, it was replaced. We're hoping that in Osun that there is better provisions for contingencies. So in case there's a part where there's some level of malfunctioning, that it is easily replaced, just so that a lot of voters would not be disenfranchised just because of an issue with the BVAS. But we're optimistic that if it worked in Ekiti, and if INEC improves on this work in Ekiti, that it could work better in Osun State.
Particular car. As a security agent, you are saying somebody whose protocol of engagement during election is to observe that he